Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Millennial Wife. My name is Avis.
I'm Jet. All right, so I would like to start us off by highlighting a Black business as we always do. So I'm going to go with makeup and I am going to highlight the lip bar. They can be found online, they can be found on Instagram, and they can be found at Target. I am wearing the red lip gloss. It comes in the color Cosmo. It's a super cute little packaging. Boom, let me hit my YouTube. And I absolutely love it. That's what I'm wearing tonight. And then I also tried this, which is eyeshadow. Super cute, super easy. It swipes on like a lip gloss. I absolutely love it. It's to die for. Very reasonable prices, so I suggest you give them a try if you are in the market for a Black-owned makeup brand.
All right, so I'm going to highlight Soulfit Grill. So, the owner's name is Chaz, and he does like spices. I don't know if it's too bright, probably.
It's bright, yeah.
Kind of see it. But he does spices. So this one that I have, we have like all of them, but this one is Taco Truck. It's so good on everything. He can be found on Instagram, online. His website's name is soulfitgrill.com. He has spices like Creole Kick, honey garlic dry rub, black pepper ranch, island seasoning, so all kinds of stuff. It's all like no preservative, no MSG, no GMO. So if you have like high blood pressure or whatever, this is like what you want to try. It gives you a lot of flavor. Reasonably priced. He has like packages that are like different ones, so you can buy them all together for a good price. And he also sells grills, so we have one of his grills too. And they're huge and they're awesome. My husband loves them, so go online to his website, follow him on Instagram. He does some farming as well. So if you're around his area, he will like deliver, or you can order like fresh okra, fresh grapefruits, like all kinds of fruits and vegetables. We've also gotten some fruits and vegetables from him, and they're great. So go support him. Really good customer service. He's in a few stores as well in the Houston area. So I think he's in Whole Foods, and I believe he's in HEB as well. So go check him out. So today we are going to talk about something that I have personally struggled through probably my whole life, that has impacted my marriage in different ways. So it's insecurities. Um, it's really a difficult topic for me in a lot of ways, because there are still a lot of insecurities that I'm trying to work through. But in terms of my marriage, they've impacted my marriage. Honestly, like, I have put some insecurities on my husband that don't belong to him. Like, I've done some projecting that I shouldn't do, and we just kind of want to sit down and talk amongst ourselves and with you all to kind of bring those to light, maybe help you identify some ways that maybe a few of your insecurities that you may be dealing with has impacted your marriage, your relationships. So I know something recently is just like, having my son, and my body has changed a lot. And so I have a friend, and she's amazing, and she always worked out, but she had her son maybe like a week before I did, and she already got her six-pack back. I ain't never had a six-pack to start with, but to see her be able to bounce back like that, I was just like, ooh, I am not there. I'm not there. And I'm so glad that I did not feel a sense of insecurity with that, because number one, that's my friend, right? So I don't need to be feeling like that with my friend. And number two, I'm comfortable with where I am on my journey, right? I'm not perfect. I'm not, to the weight that I want to be. I'm not to the look that I want to be in my clothes, but I'm cool with who I am. Have you had any insecurities?
So this was an interesting topic for me. And I don't know if you recall the conversation that we've had in the past about this. Um, and it's kind of weird because I'm going to say what I'm going to say and I'm going to be honest, but it is also going to feel like, for me personally, that I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna just say it and then we'll just go from there. So honestly, I don't feel like I have had any insecurities in my marriage. And if we dig a little bit deeper, maybe I'll find something. But when I'm just thinking about it and just kind of just running through our years together, there's nothing that pops out to me as like a major thing or issue that I've dealt with within our marriage. And I said what I said before because, number one, like, I can be judged just for simply saying, oh, I don't have any insecurities in my marriage. Oh, does she feel like she's perfect? And, like all of those little things. And I don't feel like I'm perfect, but I also don't feel like I have had any internal battle with anything that may have caused anything in our marriage. And I mean, and I really want to think about it, and I have thought about it to the point where, like, okay, is there really something? Is there something that you aren't recognizing or acknowledging? And just after sitting with it, there's nothing that I can think of. Is that to say that things won't happen in the future? Not at all, because talking about having children, I don't know what my body's going to do after I have a child. And then if I felt like I was completely different from who I am at this moment, that would definitely be an insecurity, because that's one of the things that I'm very proud of, is how I look physically, and taking care of myself. So that would be a future insecurity if I dealt with that. And I don't want to say that I don't have any, in the sense that I feel like I'm perfect. And I want to reiterate that, because I know that I'm not perfect. And then I want to keep listening to you and where you're going to take the conversation, because it may bring up something that I may have suppressed or am unaware of. So for me, this is kind of a therapy session and a counseling session to figure out if there is anything that, oh, I should acknowledge that, and I should pay attention to that in my relationship. You know what I mean?
So the biggest, I think, insecurity that I have had, and I'm really not even sure where it stems from, but just not being secure with who I am, like, as a woman. Um, I come from a home that was very loving. Like, I don't think I have any, like, deep rooted, like, reasons for that insecurity. But I think I have always gone through life comparing myself to other people, especially other women, right? And how that's presented in my marriage in a negative way is I would compare myself to other women in my husband's life, right? So friends of his, whoever, and that caused me to, I think, become more controlling than I think I would have wanted to be. So I tried to control where he was going. I tried to control, and we've talked about it on social media episode, but I've tried to control what he was posting. My husband is a social person. He has a large friend group, not large, but he has a good number of friends. And they take, like, yearly trips to Miami and Las Vegas and stuff like that. And although I knew I could not stop him from doing that, and I would never ask him, hey, don't go out with your friends, I was on high alert during those times because I felt like I needed to know what's going on at every second. And my husband is definitely somebody that does not want to be controlled. He does not want to be controlled, and that's completely fair, and it makes complete sense because I don't like being controlled, right? So me not being sure of myself just as Avis caused me to project that onto him and cause issues in our relationship that, thank God, we are, I think, on the tail end of it, because I've been able to mature. Like, I really think that's what helped me deal with that insecurity. I think I've been through enough. I think I've lived enough life to be sure of myself, to be sure of what I like and what I don't like, how I move. Like, I'm more confident in my womanhood, so I don't feel the need to question who I am as a woman because another attractive woman comes up, or somebody that is more fit than I am, or somebody that has more accomplishments than I do. I find myself not comparing myself more and more as the days go by. And another piece of that is I started to study and understand how the Lord sees me, right? The Lord doesn't compare us to each other. Like, the Lord compares us to him. So, if the Lord is happy with me and wants the best for me, but loves me where I am, why can't I love myself where I am? Why do I have to go through the motions of feeling bad because I'm, not necessarily in the spot that I would want to be at any given time? So that's been something that I think has been hard for my husband to understand too. Like, I think when we were dating, he saw my controllingness. He did not connect me being controlling with my insecurity. I think he connected me being controlling with, you're just a controlling person. Like, you just want to know what's happening all the time. You want to dictate my moves. You want to dictate who I'm talking to, that kind of thing. So it took us years to get to a place where he understood, hey, this is coming from something deep within Avis. It's not really about me. And how can I help her through that? And that's been something interesting too, because I don't believe that it's his responsibility to fix my insecurity. I used to think that early in our marriage, you need to make me happy. And if you're not making me happy, then you suck as a husband right now. And that's not that's not fair. So, you said it before in other episodes, like, it is my responsibility to make sure I am happy. It is Philip's responsibility to make sure he is happy. But we've learned each other to where we know, I think, the signs of when the other one is insecure and what we can do to help push them out of that thought process, right? So if I'm in a space where I'm just like really uncomfortable with maybe my body, for instance, like, he will be more affectionate, more touchy-feely with me, and that helps me, like, reassure myself that, like, I am desirable to him. Like, I may not be the 140 I used to be, but he likes the extra fluff, at least for right now, right? So but not to sit in that and to still try and make myself better every day. But it's nice to be accepted. It's nice to feel like extra reassurance in those times where I'm feeling like insecure about whatever it is during that time.
Right. I will say, as I listened to you, I could pinpoint some insecurities that I may have had early on in our marriage, and I think that was probably around the time where we've discussed that my husband was smoking, and after we had talked about him not doing that, and me knowing who he was doing it with and his friends that he was hanging out with, and me basically, because of, I guess, the situation causing the insecurity of trusting my husband, and basically just like, hey, you can't talk to these people anymore. Like, you can't hang out with these people, because obviously the decision process that takes place when you're around these people is null and void. And I'm relating that to being an insecurity, because instead of giving it over to God and allowing him to handle it, because I felt like I had been wronged and it was more so about me in the situation. I tried to take it upon myself to say, this is what you need to do to fix it. I'm going to control this situation. And I know what's best, so do what I say so we don't have no issues, you know? And I'm grateful that, number one, that didn't even pop up into my head, because that helps me to know that I've gotten past that stage and that phase of our life and our relationship. But I can say that probably was a time in which I did have some insecurities, because I feel like that trust was broken. And so I felt insecure about him going anywhere, or going to work or anything, because I feel like you're gonna either on the way home or whatever, do something you ain't got no business doing. And even to this day, I mean, he's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants to do, essentially. But feeling more secure in the sense of, it's not in my hands, it's not in my control, it's in God's hands, and he's a grown man. He can make the decisions that he wants to make. And recognizing that and saying, okay, well, you just let it go, let it alone, let it be, because again, he's able to do whatever he wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he knows my position and my feeling on it, but essentially I can't make him do anything. So I would say early in our marriage, that was probably an insecurity that I dealt with, for sure.
You talking about that like early in your marriage just brought like something to mind um, that I don't think I had identified as an insecurity until probably recently. So um, I think I may struggle with some slight abandonment issues, like from deep rooted things. Like both my parents passed when I was young, and so the way that came out in our marriage was, for example, when he goes to work or I, was going to work, when we make it to our destination, I always like for him to text me, hey, I made it. I'll text him, hey, I made it. When we would get into arguments, disagreements, he would stop that because he was annoyed with me. So he didn't want to text me, right? And that blew up into such a thing because I was just like, and it still makes a lot of sense to me, but I was just like, I don't care if you're mad at me. I don't care if I'm mad at you. I need to know that you are alive. That's really what it came down to. I need to know that from point A to point B, you survived and you are safe where you are. So you need to tell me that you made it to work. And I think I was so passionate about that and so angry that he wasn't doing that. He didn't understand. Like, he didn't get why it was such a big deal to me. Like, why I was so mad and almost brought to tears because he didn't text me and let me know he made it to work. But it's because I've experienced loss and I'm insecure and unsure and kind of like waiting for the next ball to drop. Like, people get taken out of your life so quickly, you don't even see it coming sometimes. And so I was just like, how can you not understand? And I wasn't at the maturity level that I am now to say it in these words. But what I was trying to communicate was, how can you not understand that I've lost people before and I don't want to lose you? So I need to know that you're okay. And how that's come up anew in this pandemic is he's a little bit more free, just a little bit more free with where he want to go. He want to visit with family. He want to go over people's houses, all of that. That's not me. Like the first 2 months of the pandemic, I didn't leave this house. And my son didn't leave this house neither. Like, if I'm not going, he ain't going. And that means you don't need to be going. But since you grown, you going to do what you want to do. But we were just talking about how seriously I'm taking it. And he's definitely taking it seriously, but we just express it in different ways. Like, he's just more willing to go see family and stuff like that. And it made me so mad. I was just like, this can kill you. Like, do you realize that? It's hundreds and thousands of people dying every day from this thing that we can control if we keep our Black behinds in the house. I was like, just stay in the house. Like, why is that so hard? But I was speaking from my lens of loss, right? Of people in my life being taken away from me. And I mean, he hasn't experienced loss in that way. So he didn't get it. But it was a insecurity that I have. And I don't necessarily know that I can uh pinpoint like if it's abandonment, if it's like a fear of like death. I don't necessarily know what it is, but I've had to reevaluate myself and my thought process and like stopping those negative thoughts. Like if he does not text me that he's at work, don't automatically go to he's had a car accident and now he's dead on the side of the road and I don't know and nobody's helping him. Like, why is that the where my mind goes every time? And I know why, but I have to have faith in the Lord that that is not going to happen. And if it is in his will, that I'll be okay if it
Right.
does happen. So,
And
yeah.
if it is in his will, there's literally nothing you can do about it. I mean, it all boils down to the fact that there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. But I understand that. And again, like I said, this is a therapy session for me because that has allowed me to realize another insecurity that I may have dealt with. And again, like you said, I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but for those watching, my father and I have a relationship now. But my story basically goes from my parents being married for 13 years, them getting a divorce when I was around 11 years old, and basically just completely out of my life. Like, had absolutely nothing to do with me for the rest of my upbringing, through all the way through college, all the way through getting married. He didn't walk me down the aisle per me asking him not to, and so on and so forth. But through the grace of God and the grace of him giving us time, we have mended our relationship. But I will say that I just now, literally just sitting here thinking and assessing what you were saying about your fear with loss in your parents, that I could probably say that I put an unjust responsibility on my husband to love me in a way that I feel might be trying to overcompensate for the love that I felt like I missed out on, or you know what I mean?
Yep, we don't have to do it. We don't have to do it. Stop that.
Hold on, it's drying. It's drying. I'm telling you, it came out of nowhere.
It did.
And I think that's like one of the benefits of like talking through things with people. It's much like counseling, like what we're doing, or whether we're talking about something that's got us hyped up on 10 or something serious. Like you go through things and you process things that you may not have ever thought about. And I don't know if my husband has ever thought about or has even felt what I'm expressing right now, if I have put this unjust responsibility on him. But me sitting and thinking about it now, like if he has felt it, or even if he hasn't felt it, that's something I want to apologize for, because it's something that I never intended to do, didn't even know that I was doing. But now that I'm realizing it, like I wouldn't want that responsibility put on anybody. That's like the whole bit of you being in a terrible relationship with one man and bringing that baggage into your new relationship, and then it automatically attaching with your new spouse. Like that's unfair and it's unreasonable and it's not of a godly woman to, yes, you've been through some things, everybody has, but you cannot take what you've been through and put it on to the person who's trying to love you the best that they can. That's not something that anybody would want for themselves, and so you can't do that to other people.
That's true, Jet. But I think, when you talk about your dad, when I talk about my parents, that is some deep rooted, like, that is some serious lesson. Like, that is a serious occurrence in our lives. Like, we unknowingly and probably unwillingly brought these things into our marriage. Now, should we have done that? No, right? Was it unfair to our husbands? Of course. But I think God has been so sufficient in giving us husbands that were able to carry that burden, whether they knew they were carrying it or not, and love us through it, right? Like, that's such a blessing. And like, us having this conversation right now, we've never talked about this before. Like, I don't even think I've really ever acknowledged how like insecurities that have sprung up from losing my parents. But like, Philip, Philip has been enough. And Trey, to you, has been enough. Like, our husbands love us differently. I don't think that how Philip expresses his love for me is the same way that like how Trey expresses his love for you.
Right.
And like, those things, like the who they are is what we needed. Like, Trey loving you so, I don't even know the word. It's like sickening
Much
to me.
doesn't even, Trey loving you so much doesn't even begin to express. Like, I wish that people could understand what we're feeling right now virtually, because we both know. Like, I know, and I'm so grateful for it. Like, when people use the phrase like drink your dirty bath water, if I literally handed Trey a cup, not even figuratively, and just was like, babe, can you please try this and see if it tastes good? That, I mean, just like that voice and everything. You go, would he drink it, Avis?
He would drink, he wouldn't even ask you what was in it. He wouldn't even look in the cup. He would drink it all and then be like, oh, that was tasty. Can I have some more?
Yeah, it was good, babe. And go back to normal life. And I told him it was my dirty bath water. Don't forget that. I told him. And he did. He still tasted it.
But that is, I think, a weird example for sure.
Yeah.
But like
Dramatic.
how a, that's how a father is supposed to love their daughter. Like that, you know what I'm saying? And like, Philip loves me in a way that is enables me to be a better person. And that's the type of love that I needed. Like, I think that was some of the developmental things that I missed with my parents passing when I was younger. I needed somebody to come and help me figure out who I was and help me get my stuff together. Like, and Philip has been that for me. Now, it's a very thin line between accepting that for what it is and not putting more on him. And that's where I think in my development, like with my grief about my parents, I think that's where I'm at. Like, I don't need him for that necessarily anymore. Like, I am looping it back around, more confident in who I am as a woman. And now that we're talking about it, maybe that's why I was not confident in myself as a woman. Like, because I lost my mom at 18, like, and she taught me a lot, like, throughout my life, but I feel like that is the start of your adult womanhood at 18. And to not have her there to help guide me through that process, I was on shaky ground. Like,
That's
I knew
big.
who I was. Yeah, I knew who I was when she was here. I was Lynette's daughter, first and foremost.
Mhm.
And when when the Lord called her home, it was like, well, who am I Like, I don't know. I don't know who Avis is. And, even funnier now that I'm still talking about it, I met Philip probably like a month before my mom passed. Like, we had started developing this friendship right before my mom, passed away. And I've told him before in the past, and I don't necessarily think he understands the gravity of it, but I have told him before, like, you enabled me to love again, because losing my parents made me stop loving people. Like, I just, like, this is bull. Like, if the people who I love is going to be taken away, I just
I don't
won't do
want
it.
to laugh. Mm-hmm.
Y'all can have that love thing because it hurt too much. But
Yeah.
like, us dealing with each other and our relationship growing in the way that it grew, like, he helped me understand that it was safe to love, and he was somebody that it was safe to love. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that that's beautiful how that's shown up in both of our marriages in very different ways, but very strong ways. And I hope that this conversation helps other women maybe identify insecurities that they didn't know that they had, and
Absolutely.
acknowledge and thank their spouse for being able to hold that burden, whether they knew it or not, and help them.
Absolutely. Even if you can't say that, you can't pinpoint, oh, well, they did this to, like, the fact
Mm-hmm.
that they're still with you and they still love you means that they have held that burden for you, whether you feel like there's a specific way in which they did it or not, because anybody could just be like, nah, this is too much. She trying to check me, she trying whatever, she trying to control where I'm going, doing whatever I'm trying to do, and just up and leave. But the fact that you push through and you end up on the other side, is them holding that burden for you, because we all bring things in from our lives when we're engaged and getting ready to be married and married. And yes, like you said, those are things we shouldn't, but they happen subconsciously sometimes without us even knowing and being aware. But as you said, God puts people, our spouses, in our lives for specific reasons. You didn't meet Philip a month before your mom passed for no reason, obviously. And who would have ever thought that, oh, okay, as soon as y'all met, oh, this is the person I'm supposed to be marrying. But God knew what he was doing. Point blank, period. The same for me and Trey. It almost, from my perspective, didn't happen. But God knew what he was doing. He knew what pieces he was moving, even though my own decision and my own actions could have messed it up, because that's what we do. We take things into our own hands and we're, oh yeah, I want to be married. He asked me, so I'm just going to say yes so I can be married. Even having whether you have a gut feeling or not, but God has that way of making sure that things work as long as we trust him. And I do hope, just as I did, just sitting in during this episode, recognize some insecurities that I have had, and or still have, and it's going to lead me to help my marriage grow. And I'm going to go talk to my husband after this and have our conversation and allow our marriage to grow from there. Now, me being more aware of the things that I do and say that may be triggered from that past baggage that I may have. So I think it's all
And I just wanna, cause okay, you said your parents divorced at 11.
right.
Didn't you meet Trey at 11?
I actually did. I never put those two things. Yeah. I think my parents were either going through the divorce I think they were still going through the divorce when we first met. I always say it because I know I was 11 when I met him. And
Mm-hmm.
my parents, they were divorced. They were divorced or divorcing when I was 11 years old. And I never put the two together. Never ever thought about that. Look at God.
Look at God.
Look at God.
Look at
Yes.
God. So we
Man.
both need to apologize to our husbands, and we both need to
Yes.
thank them.
Absolutely.
And we may not even be aware of what insecurities we're holding for them. And I don't necessarily know if my husband is going to be reflective enough at this time to figure it out. But
That
I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him and just see what, what happens. And
yeah.
it might be one of those relationship deepening exercises for us.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. We pray that you have gotten something out of it. We pray that it stirs up some conversations in your marriage to help your marriage grow, and helps you to recognize any insecurities that you may be dealing with, and deal with those in a healthy way. So we like to close out our episodes by sharing how we won at adulting this week. So everybody wants to grow up and be an adult when you're young, and then it happens and you're like, what is happening? So we want to recognize when we're doing the absolute best that we can at being an adult. And we didn't talk about this before, so I'm wondering if we're going to talk about the same thing. But I would like to share. So we were having a conversation. Our group of sisterhoods was having a conversation, and you're adult when your group text, your group chat is full of, man, how much you pay for your electricity? Man, how much you pay for your electricity? How much you pay per kilowatt hour? Man, that's a lot. Wait, hold on, I'm gonna have this assessed. So we had this whole conversation, and basically all of us assessed our electricity bills, and some of us got it lowered. Some of us were at good place. Man, we got one sister who's paying 0.6 cents per kilowatt hour, something crazy like that. They didn't service my area, so I couldn't do nothing with that. But nonetheless, I assessed my electricity bill to make sure that I wasn't spending entirely too much, and I'm at a good place. So, but it was good to be able to say I looked at it just to make sure, because we had one sister that was paying something ridiculous, like, sis, 22
She was,
cents?
yeah, she was
What
paying
are you
21
doing?
cents. That's a lot, but no, I mean, mine is the same thing. You stole mine too. So, but I had to call them. I had to call TXU, and I was like, listen, you got to tell me where I'm at so we can get, because the electricity bill was like $290 last month. That's a lot of money.
We live in Texas. It's hot as dirt in Texas, okay? So we need to make sure our coins is going to the right place for the right amount, because I'm not about to be up in my house hot. That's not gonna happen.
Not a chance.
Not at all. All right, y'all. We hope you really enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to join us in the comments. Share with us, if you feel comfortable, some insecurities that you may have with your spouse in your relationship, how you have overcome them or how you are dealing with them, and how you're thanking your husband, your spouse, for supporting you in your insecurities. So I might make mine a little steak dinner. He's still on the meat train, so I might make him something special just to thank him for loving me and drinking my dirty bath water.
Good Lord. Okay. Don't share the picture of the steak this time. Thanks.
Is she trying to boost it? I was just trying to boost it. Nonetheless, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. No, we're not going there.
Trying to boost. That's okay. I'm going to find a picture of that steak, that last steak you cooked, and I'm going to add it into this video so people can see. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, you guys. Thanks so much for watching.